think the bottom line, like probably the breaking point for all of this was when their dad just sort of cut them off.
He'll cut you off out of nowhere. He'll cut off your healthcare. He'll cut off your phone bill out of nowhere. Like you'll be a minor. Just because you disagree or you say, don't call my mom.
He was contributing a little bit of cash to their like monthly, college.
Why should I raise her budget? Her budget
Dad,
is fine.
I don't.
One day he just kind of cut the kids off.
I think we'll be okay with the budget she has.
There was no more money coming in, no more like allowance, quote unquote allowance. I think
Because you are going to be a great servant.
Look,
All those other rich people that you hang out with, they're all so rich and they're so spoiled and they have so much.
You cut me off out of nowhere, and he did it like on purpose.
She doesn't have to lay under this lob. I mean, come on, Aoki.
Hypothetically, you're at rock bottom. You've hit the bottom. I don't know. You're grasping at straws. I don't know.
Because this is just not the father that I know.
If you don't raise my budget, I'm gonna get a sugar daddy.
I don't have a boyfriend.
Please do not send any hate or honestly comments of any kind to anyone mentioned in this video on behalf of me or yourself. The purpose of this video is to give my commentary and opinion on matters of public concern. Thank you.
Welcome to BJ Investigates. We need to talk about Russell Simmons' daughter. I printed out my notes from my assistant here. So basically, I didn't really find this story to be that particularly intriguing. Like, it doesn't really, I don't care, basically, the bottom line. Generally, young girl, dating old rich guy or whatever. I also felt like this could possibly be some type of distraction from maybe a different story, maybe some other thing going on with one of these people in this group. But something about the story did keep nagging me, but I was just trying to mind my own business. And then I was on Instagram the other day and I saw the story yet again on, of course, Shelby Elamac's Instagram account, because their stuff's always showing up on my Instagram feed. But there were some people in the comments kind of like defending it and kind of saying like, why are you shocked? Why are you surprised? And it's like, no one's shocked, no one's surprised. But I do think people have the right to be a little bit outraged. I mean, the man was 44 years old whenever this girl was born in 2002. But basically, yeah, I mean, it's disgusting and it's nasty in my opinion. Is it illegal? No, I'm not accusing anyone of doing any crimes, but it's nasty. I can't imagine dating a 21-year-old and I'm in my 30s. This man is 65. Anyway, I did see a lot of people kind of excusing this behavior or defending it and saying, Aoki, which is Kimora Lee's daughter with Russell Simmons, she's like a baby Kimora Lee, and like, wouldn't you expect this type of behavior or whatever? And it's like, wait a second, what really even did go on with them? Because I was not familiar with the story of how Russell Simmons met Kimora Lee. Like, we were talking the other day about they used to have like a reality show and it was kind of all thrown in our face, and at the time they just both seemed like adults.
at the end of the day, it's me and my girls.
Aoki, you're such a good little executive.
Who is this? Looks like Kimora.
That's my Barbie doll. I'm going to make a Kimora Lee Simmons Barbie.
I don't like your concepts, James, and your photo shoot is right around the corner. Hi. Russell and I, we work together. We have a very good relationship.
Come over here, let me trim your cuticles.
You be messing with my cubicle. What about my cubicles?
They're not cubicles.
Whatever they cuticle.
But come to find out, they met whenever she was like, it's up for debate. So let me read my notes. So it has been widely reported that Russell met Kimora when she was technically a quote legal adult at the age of 17, which I'm not exactly sure. I thought legal adulthood age was 18, but you'll see the quote what I'm talking about. So it's widely reported that they met when she was 17, and even though it would have been technically legal for them to have a relationship, they still waited until she was 18 to begin their romantic relationship, which it's always kind of spun like that makes it better or something, which I guess technically it does make it legal. But the fact that these grown men spend so much time, effort, energy, and newspaper article space kind of like, well, technically, it just kind of like tells you what you need to know. Anyway, so here, according to this article right here, Russell claims Kimora was, quote, legal at 17 when he met her, but they officially started dating when she was 18. So the story goes that Russell spotted a 17-year-old at the time, Kimora Lee, at a fashion show at New York Fashion Week for like the Mary McFadden show. Never heard of her. Who's that? Don't know. Sometime in the early 1990s.
She's only 15 years old and is the toast of the international high fashion world. And this gorgeous 6-foot-tall model leads a double life. Part of the time, she's that real-life Cinderella who dresses up for the ball. But back home in St. Louis, Missouri, she's 10th grade student Kimora Perkins.
The gorgeous gown, it's easy to get wrapped up in it. But no, it didn't overtake me because I knew I still had to take off the gown and come home and go back to school. So it was easy to keep my feet on the ground.
Kimora spends 12 weeks out of the school year away from home, working in Europe and New York for the likes of Chanel and Yves Saint Laurent. Although she won't turn 16 until next May, she's remarkably mature and says that she's able to keep her distance from the darker undersides of her seemingly glamorous profession. The Joanne Perkins says it was hard to send her daughter off alone to Europe.
She realized how painful it was for me to let her go and how important it was for her to do well, that it was a sacrifice.
People get caught up on mental and psychological trips, and they get into things like drugs and alcohol, and they're dating people to get certain places. And some people get really confused as to why they're there. There's a lot of things like that going on. Do this will make you better, this will make you prettier, this will make you feel good, and when you're stressed out, drink this will make you feel, oh God, you have to really watch out for that.
Kimora says that she's been able to steer clear of older men who can be considered model groupies.
They don't know how old I am when they approach me. I'm not a 19-year-old, 21-year-old person. And I have men that are 40 years old that want to take me out to dinner. It's just not something that I need to be seen even in right now.
And by the time the couple met for this first time, Russell would have already been in his mid-30s, already running the wildly successful Def Jam Records, and he also was running a successful TV show called Def Comedy Jam, which Cat Williams did mention in the infamous, notorious 2024 is the year of truth, Shay Shay, Club Shay Shay appearance. But anyway, so at the time, Kimora Lee's best friend, Tyra Banks, also a supermodel at the time, basically warned Kimora and was like, do not, that man is a mess. And apparently Tyra Banks went and even threatened Russell Simmons too. And Tyra Banks told Russell Simmons, leave her alone. She's not like one of those floozies that you normally mess with.
Stop it! I have never in my life yelled at a girl like this!
What it says in the article, I don't know, I wasn't there. I was 3 or 2 or 1. Or maybe not. Well, I mean, who knows? Because they can't keep their story straight with what the year was. Yeah, there's conflicting stories. And these conflicting stories come from all over the place, but including Kimora Lee herself. We just heard Russell's version, which is she's 17, but they didn't even start dating until she was 18. But here, more recently, Kimora Lee does state that she met Russell when she was in high school and she was, quote, 16 years old.
I met this person when I was in high school in St. Louis, Missouri. I was modeling. I was 16 years old. Like, I've known you and everybody knows. Again, that's documented. You can see. I believe I was maybe a sophomore. I know it was before junior prom and senior prom because I went to both of those proms alone with my friends when I was dating them. So it was definitely long before junior and senior prom. I think it was around sophomore year. High school. And again, everybody knows this in my life. You know, they know I was walking around, they see me. The point of it is, I've known you a long time and I've seen lots of stuff and I just choose to not go there. Lots of things that I could say over the time.
Also, in a 2005 interview that Kimora Lee did do with Vanity Fair, she said she met Russell when she was, quote, illegal. I'm just saying he's not perfect as the world thinks he is. He's just rich and famous. This is the quote. So they don't see all the rest of that BS. And I see it because I'm truly Russell's friend. And I've been his friend since I was a teen, since I was illegal. And I know his mind and his thinking and his pattern and his habits inside and out. So I don't know. I mean, telling y'all what I found. All these conflicts that don't reconcile with each other. Anyway, the year they met is also a little bit in question. Not only how old she was, but the year they met. Because I've seen some reports say it was 1993, some reports say it was 1992, and some say it was 1991. But regardless of when or where or how or what year or how old they were or whatever when they met, one thing is widely agreed upon, and that is that Russell Simmons was a 2-time and no good cheater who was always being unfaithful to Kimora Lee. He's even admitted this as well. According to Kimora, the whole reason they got engaged and married in the first place was because Kimora Lee caught Russell cheating in the act on a yacht at a yacht party sometime around New Year's Eve. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's what she said. She caught him cheating. She was there with Andre Harrell's girlfriend at the time, which if anybody knows who Andre Harrell was dating New Year's Eve, 1997, please drop in the comments below because that's part of the wider web investigation. Anyway, there's so much more I could get into about that whole relationship, but that's honestly not even the point of today's video. Today, I'm trying to talk about Russell and Kimora's 21-year-old daughter, Aoki Lee Simmons. So the other day, I was on the internet, like I said, not minding my own business, and I keep getting bombarded with this story. And yeah, like I said, the comments of that post really inspired me to make this whole video because people were really not knowing how to act in those comments. I mean, some people were, obviously, but anyway, so who is this guy? First of all, I'm not getting into the whole thing about him. I mean, there's all kind of weird pictures of him in a diaper on the internet with wires coming out of him. I really don't know what that's all about, but his name is Vittorio Asaf, and he's like a famous like restaurateur. But when I actually looked up what type of restaurants he owns, it's all these like pizza parlors. Apparently he's not even really worth that much money either. So the story goes he was stranded at sea in the 80s or something. I don't know, it's weird. Didn't Lou Pearlman also own a pizza place, or was that Larry Rudolph? Anyway, these TMZ style paparazzi photos showed up just the other day of Aoki Simmons, who's 21 years old. She's highly accomplished. She's worked for the UN. She's going to law school. She graduated from Harvard for undergrad. I mean, she's like super accomplished, beautiful. She's a model. She's successful, all that. And she's like snuggling up with this old coot that owns the pizza parlors in New York or whatever. Actually, he owns them all over. It's like Abu Dhabi and Dubai and Tel Aviv and I mean all over the place, Japan. So anyway, in addition to these pictures, this anonymous source comes out and kind of confirms that Aoki and this man, Vittorio, are enjoying each other's company. Some headlines say they're dating. It's gross. Again, I was gonna mind my own business, but then these comments and I had to say something. What's really interesting is these pictures were taken on St. Bart's, this island, and that's also where Russell and Kimora Lee Simmons, Aoki's parents were married, and it's also one of the locations where Lil Rod accused P. Diddy of assaulting him in that recent lawsuit. So lots of stuff going on at the St. Bart's over there. And people are kind of like throwing this young woman under the bus. People are throwing this man under the bus. People have all kinds of criticisms, myself included. I have some criticisms as well. But it does kind of seem like Russell Simmons himself has sort of been grooming his own daughter for this type of behavior for a very long time, at least in the recent years. First of all, through his own actions, as we already discussed, he modeled a particular type of relationship to his children by dating a teenage high school sophomore when he was a powerful mogul in his 30s. Second of all, he seems to have responded positively to this PR push in general as well, posting something about unconditional love for his daughter. And this would be in sharp contrast to Kimora Lee Simmons, who seemed to not be liking it very much with that panda video she posted. But not only that, there are other reasons why it seems like Russell has kind of been preparing, either intentionally or maybe unintentionally, his daughter for exactly this type of career path. Here's more examples of, such type of encouragement in my opinion. He apparently discouraged his daughters both from going to college at all. And again, like, this girl went to Harvard. She's very, very intelligent. She made it into and also through Harvard. I mean, even if she got in because of her name, you don't just make it through, you gotta make the grades. So
he's even said things to them like, why did you go to college? You shouldn't have gone to college. You wasted that money. You could have saved it. While I'm up here trying to hustle the kids over the finish line.
He discouraged them from going to college. He's like, you wasted your money on college. And it's like, well, I mean, if you don't go to college at all in 2024, you do obviously have some career paths, but kind of limits it down to maybe having to rely on other things.
I'm eating soup.
I see.
I think the bottom line, like probably the breaking point for all of this was when their dad just sort of cut them off.
He'll cut you off out of nowhere. He'll cut off your healthcare. He'll cut off your phone bill out of nowhere. Like, you'll be a minor. Just because you disagree or you say, don't call my mom.
He was contributing a little bit of cash to their like monthly, college.
Why should I raise her budget? Her budget
Dad,
is fine.
One day he just kind of cut the kids off.
I think we'll be okay with the budget she has.
There was no more money coming in, no more like allowance, quote unquote allowance. I think he probably did that just to double up the expenses on me, which is no problem. I stepped up, I did it. I think that was very tough for them, that their dad like kind of cut them off and cut off conversation and cut off helping them. And
so this is like really the crux of the video today. I really wanted to talk about this FaceTime call between Aoki and Russell. So in this call, she repeatedly asks him to increase her budget.
Y'all really happy on the tightest budget out of anybody at Harvard. I'm not even lying.
But you will learn that being frugal is kind of like godliness. It's part of what makes you happy. Why should I raise her budget? Her budget
Dad,
is fine.
I don't do so
most of you will be okay with the budget.
And she talks about having these minimum wage jobs. And
I have 2 student jobs, and I go to school, and I have a summer job.
So all the jobs must contribute to the overall budget.
They're minimum wage.
She's having a hard time hanging out with her friends.
You having fun in LA?
Kind of. I'm broke.
And she has to stay at home. And
Broke relative to what?
Well, I can live. I can just stay in the house.
she's basically a recluse. And
It's a great time because I can't go anywhere.
Well, your house is so big, you can get lost in there.
she is working. She's saving her money. And he's like, but you're making so much money as a model.
No. You model. Sometimes they send you giant checks for taking pictures.
And she's like, but I try to save that money.
I save all my work money.
And he's like, but I'm trying to save that money too, so I'm not giving you any more money.
Oh, well, then there we go. I like to save my money too. Maybe I should save my money.
So it is clear that there is a little bit of a discussion about the money. So in this call, Aoki actually threatened her father that she was getting so desperate for financial support that she was going to have to, quote, get a sugar daddy if he didn't raise her allowance.
If you don't raise my budget, I'm gonna get a sugar daddy.
And Russell then went so far as to publicly advertise Aoki's virginity in this call, basically telling her that she was not qualified to be a sugar baby because she was still a, quote, V, and he said it weird.
You don't even have sugar daddy capabilities, right? Aren't you a B? Of course you are, right?
So mind you, this is a 20-year-old woman at the time, so why is her father talking to her about that at all? Why is he privy to this information at all? And why is he talking about that to her publicly? That is my question. It is weird, but it gets somehow weirder. In this same exact call, Russell tells Aoki, his daughter, that she is going to be a wonderful servant to the world. And he says it more than once. It's very weird, again. He goes on to reiterate the servant crap whenever he asks her what she's going to be when she grows up.
Did you tell everybody what you're going to be when you grow up?
I don't know.
A servant.
His 20-year-old daughter. So he's admitting that he sees 20-year-old women as children who are not grown up. What does that tell you about his relationship with 17-year-old Kimora Lee that he eventually would marry? Anyway, one thing that you might have missed if you blinked is the following from this call. The whole sugar daddy, I'm gonna get a sugar daddy discussion does not even come up until after Russell tells Aoki that he is proud of her for getting a new job that was just supposed to start in 2 days in New York.
Good point. I'm just saying, talking to my friends.
I'm very proud of you about your job you got.
It's a really awkward and slightly tense interaction between them, and they both seem to be avoiding saying the full story of what's really going on with this so-called job. Aoki says, you can't tell people where I work on the internet, daddy.
Let's talk about that.
You can't prove where I work on the internet, daddy.
What?
And he says something coded like, I won't tell him where you work, it's who you work for.
It won't tell him where you work, it's who you work for.
And he's like this close to the camera, it's very weird, we'll put it in. And she's like, you can't say that either on the internet.
You can't do that either on the internet.
Huh?
And then he starts kind of like taunting her. Like he's like, you're going to be a great servant to the world. It's going to give you the background you need to become a great servant to the world.
You can't do that either on the internet, but I'm going in 2 days.
Now remember, this discussion all takes place after the apparent assumption where Russell is talking about who's a V, what's a V, this, that, and the other. So he's like, you're going to get the background and the training.
Thank you, Daddy. I'm going to hang out with you.
Well, wait a minute. I'm very proud of you for that job. That's going to be great. It's going to give you a background so you can be a great servant to the world. Because you are going to be a great servant. You're going to make the world a nicer and happier place.
I mean, I really don't know, but what they say this new boss is, quote, very important and distinguished gentleman.
You're going to work for a very important, distinguished gentleman.
Okay, I'm going to hang out because you're going to get
And I'm very proud of you for getting that job.
Thank you, Daddy. I'm going to hang out with you.
Well, wait a minute.
Just the way he says it, look, I'll put it in, but it's like, and then she's like, okay, I gotta go. Like, about to hang up on him. What if it's the Vittorio guy? What if it's Daddy's House Studios girl? I don't know. This was last summer. This is 2023. The same summer that all these other allegations of abuse and stuff came out. But anyway, at that point she acts like she's gonna hang up on him. And then she's like, you're gonna get me in trouble. And then that's when he's like, I'm very proud of you because that job's gonna give you a great background so you can be a servant to the world. I really believe it.
Okay, I'm gonna hang out because you're gonna get me
And
in
I'm
trouble.
very proud of you for getting that job.
And then he reiterates immediately, you're going to be a great servant to the world.
It's going to be great. It's going to give you a background so you can be a great servant to the world. Because you are going to be a great servant. You're going to make the world nicer.
What are you going to be when you grow up? A servant. That's what he says.
Did you tell everybody what you're going to be when you grow up?
I don't know.
A servant.
I can't imagine my dad. What are you going to be when you grow up and you say a servant?
Because you are going to be a great servant.
And why are you saying that? Like, it's weird to me. So then Aoki's like, I'm going to be working in New York this summer. And Russell is like, guess where he always goes? And she's like, you can drive me to work. Like, to her dad.
Wait a minute. So wait, you go to work when?
Beginning of June. I'm gonna go right now. I leave in 2 days.
Oh, I'll be in New York at the beginning of June. And guess where he always goes?
You can drive me to work.
But apparently this very important and distinguished gentleman always goes like to some place, but then it kind of gets cut off. Like she cuts him off. Like,
I can. But guess where he always goes at
No,
night?
I'm gonna drive work for real because I'm scared I'm gonna get on the subway.
he's trying to tease her and say like her business basically, and she's trying to not have him do that, and she keeps acting like she's gonna hang up. Could be, because it's when they're talking about the very important distinguished gentleman and the servant to the world that then she brings up, if you don't give me more money, I'm getting a sugar daddy.
If you don't raise my budget, I'm gonna get a sugar daddy. I'm kidding. I'm sorry. I'm kidding.
What did you say?
Nothing. Okay.
So can anyone really say that they're necessarily surprised? No, of course not. No one's surprised. She was basically groomed and modeled for by a man who was almost 20 years older than her own mother to be an uneducated servant, like that's what was going to be praised, with no backup plan beyond relying on her body and her beauty. Now, she did make a social media post recently where she did reiterate that she does not have a boyfriend.
I don't have a boyfriend.
I don't know when exactly that was posted, if it was before this, after this, or what, but I did want to include that. And it's all just kind of a little bit too weird and mysterious for me, considering this cryptic sort of back and forth FaceTime call from just a year ago where she was like begging for money and acting like she couldn't do anything and couldn't afford anything at all in life. And it's especially weird when you take into consideration the patterns that we're seeing with these big boat parties and celebrities and distinguished gentlemen that you can't talk about on the internet, and the pizza restaurant owners and the beach and the St. Bart's and the same place, same time, same people, same crew. Then you add who's he's actually friends with, which is like, you know, picture, Sean P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs. But that's all I really had for today. In the meantime, facts ain't defamation. Love you, Minnie. Goodbye.
Where's that boyfriend of yours? Is he still around?
Yeah, he's not. He's hiking right now.
Does he know how him?
No.
Well, I won't have to, I'm sure.